everyone, it's Jessie here with the monthly video, and just wanted to kind of tune in and talk this week, or this month I should say, oh my goodness, this month about independence. And independence in the way of being independent. Now, those that have been watching my shows lately know that I've been talking a lot about the elite and the hidden agendas and those sorts of things, and waking us up in a way that we can be a little more conscious about how we're living and what's going on in life, not from a fearful perspective, but from a perspective of changing things and being able to step more into our power among those kind of programmings. So I wanted to do a little aspect on codes and how things worked regarding that. And you can see I have this great scenery here behind me today. I came out to a little different area to get out and film in a nice natural space here that's a little quieter. And so anyways, when I look at the elite, one of the things I'm looking at, and I want to clarify something, elite does automatically not connect with the rich. So for example, if somebody is rich, that doesn't automatically make them part of the elite group. And just because they're elite doesn't automatically make them rich. They might be in that elite group because there's some sort of leader or recognized figure of some sort that has decided to be a part of that group. And when we look at the codes of elite, what we find is we find them operating on the material spiritual conflict pattern. And that pattern, what it's really about is materialism that tries to upset our spiritual nature and tries to throw us out of balance, tries to throw us off course, tries to disconnect us from spiritual paths, from being soul connected, from being unified. So it's very diversified in that sense. And so as you understand this, you can see that the whole intent of the elite as a collective is to do that. And it doesn't, mean that they have big numbers or anything like that. It just means that they are very focused on creating this dynamic of throwing people off course. And so when we talk about their agendas are the methods that they are using to do this. Now, if we removed people from the situation and we simply looked at this as a neutral energy or an energy that is there maybe to teach us in some sort, and if we start looking at the elite as a way for us to learn, because when we look at this material spiritual conflict pattern, what it's doing is teaching us where our addictions are, teaching us where we tend to stray off course from our spiritual paths, where we tend to disconnect or separate from spirit, and how we can do that and how that can be done. So it can be a great learning experience if we really want to look at it. The key again is not to get too wrapped up and too thought focused in what they're doing and all of the different pieces, but simply to be aware, okay, this is going on right now, let's stop, let's shift the energy, and let's redirect now and say, okay, what a great lesson this is. Now I realize I need to work on this, and I'm going to focus on shifting my pattern from being, addicted to sugar to eating healthier, whatever the case is for you in that. So the elite actually can serve a very incredible purpose for us if we allow it, but if we're operating on this unconscious space and we're just buying into the program, to the things that we're being sold, that's when we move into back into more of a slavery master situation, and they're the masters and we're the slaves, and that's where this robotic society comes from. Now, I wanted to give that lead in because when we talk about independence, that's one thing that the elite really, really tries to avoid. And a lot of people, when they think about being independent in life, they connect it automatically with isolation. They connect it automatically with this aspect and this dynamic that they're going to be alone and they're going to be lonely and they can't have friends and things like that. And that's not true at all. But what independent is independent as a connection with soul. When we look at the connections or the code patterns for being independent, what we find is actually somebody who's highly successful, highly intelligent, and we find somebody that is able to weave in and out of a lot of circles. Now, this is somebody who knows how to play the game, so to say, or knows how to maneuver among those elite people, because there are tending to be elite connections. Now, the tricky part with independence, why it has become such a challenging piece and a challenging factor in everything, is because when we become independent, people notice this outcasting, and that the outcasting comes from the elite circle, from these government, these political arenas. You're oftentimes going against the grain, so you're walking in the spiritual versus walking in the material world, and you are no longer controlled, and that's where people get that sense that they're going to be isolated. But it's, really when you become independent, what you realize is it's about making your own decisions. It's about coming from right here, the heart space, the soul space, the connection space, the divine space. And for some people, they'll call that the God space. And when we're coming from that space, that's where we do our best work. That's where we are fully ourselves. That's where we are in connection. And so if I'm going to be outcast by the elite for that, then that's absolutely fine. But it also means when you're in that space, it doesn't mean that you never ever listen to anybody or associate with anybody. As a matter of fact, you're oftentimes listening to a great deal to what people are saying, and you're listening a great deal to what is needing to be done. But the difference is you're not allowing them being the elite or friends or family or whoever, to influence your decisions. You're operating from your own accord, from your own gut, from your own soul self in this piece. So you may still do a lot of socializing, you may still do a lot of connecting with people to learn from them, to understand their ideas and their thoughts and their concepts, but then you're still taking those and you're integrating them, and you're deciding for yourself what is going to work for you, what feels in alignment for you. So I really hope that brings some clarity into what all of this stuff is about, and why I've been talking about some of those things. And more what you're going to find as I start to open events up again, not only are they going to be amazingly having some great codes going on with them in the events, but it's going to be all about connecting and finding those moments of peacefulness and experiences of compassion among all of this hectic energy that is vying for our attention. So I hope you'll stay tuned for that as I start to bring things out again here in the near future. Well, maybe it's a new future too. There's so many changes going on. It very well could be. Anyways, take care, everybody, and until next month, have a very, very blessed moon cycle, and next month, I guess, is the case. By the way, you can find out more about my work, more about code interpretation and everything that's happening through my website, which is compassioncodes.com. Take care, everybody. See you later.